Hi students, this is Madhu Dharmapuri. Welcome back to the electrostatics lecture number 6, in which I am going to teach you about different types of charge distribution, and also I would like to convert the integral form of Gauss law into differential form of Gauss law, and at the end I will discuss some numerical problems based on Gauss law, how to calculate electric flux passing over closed surfaces. Okay, so let me start with charge distribution. Right, so charge distribution is basically can be done in two ways. Whenever you are charging a body, you will find the two ways of charge distribution basically. One is, you can see here, discontinuous or non-uniform charge distribution. Okay, and the other one is continuous or uniform charge distribution. Okay, we will discuss this first. What is discontinuous or non-uniform charge distribution? For example, you have a body and you are charging that. If that body acquires charge non-uniformly, discontinuously, means that each and every region of that body will have different amount of acquired charge. For example, if you see this picture, I have considered one body which is in irregular shape, and if I charge this body, the charge acquired by this body is different in different places. You can see in this picture. The charge is non-uniformly distributed. If you measure the charge at this place, it will be different. At this place, it will be different. At this place, it will be different. So if you pick up one random small region out of that whole body and find out how much charge is present in that region that you have picked up, each time you will end up with different amounts of charges. This kind of charge distribution is called as discontinuous or non-uniform charge distribution. Okay, and the second type is continuous or uniform charge distribution. Just exactly opposite to this. If you consider a body and charge it, you will find that the charge acquired by that body is same in every place or every region or at every point. Uniform distribution or continuous charge distribution. Right, just exactly opposite to this one. And we have three subtypes of charge distribution for this case: continuous or uniform charge distribution. The first one is line charge distribution, or we can also say this as linear charge distribution. Linear. And second one is surface charge distribution, and the third one is volume charge distribution. Okay, so we will discuss these three types one after the other in detail. Okay, what is linear charge distribution, what is surface charge distribution, what is volume charge distribution. Remember, these three types are uniform charge distribution types, First one, linear charge distribution. Okay, so for this, for example, consider a wire of length L, capital L. It is a wire and charge is distributed along its length uniformly. The charge is distributed along its length uniformly. If positive charge is distributed, it will be like this. A charge is distributed along its length. You can say charge is distributed uniformly along length of body. Okay, so if charge distributed is equal to Q, if total charge, let me say, if total charge distributed is equal to Q, then we define one term here which is called as linear charge density. Linear charge density represented with lambda, which is nothing but total charge by total length. Which can be written as Q by L, where L is length. You can say length of body is equal to L. Total length of body is equal to L. So then total charge by total length. Here our body is wire. So you can also have, it need not be a wire, you can also have a ring shape. A ring where the charge is distributed along its circumference. This also is an example of linear charge distribution. But in this case, total length is circumference of this ring. Okay, so lambda is Q by L. Or we can also write this as dQ by dL, which means that the linear charge density is same in every unit length. If dQ is the charge in dl length, for example, if you divide this into dl, 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 in every dl length, the charge on that dl length is dq. Okay, which means that linear charge density is constant. Linear charge density is constant. And it has units, and units are coulomb per meter. Charge unit is coulomb, length unit is meter. Coulomb per meter. Okay, so this is about linear charge distribution, where charge is distributed uniformly along the length of the body, right? If the total charge distributed is Q and total length of the body is L, then linear charge density is equal to total charge by total length, and lambda can be written as Q by L or dQ by dL with units coulomb per meter. And these are the examples of linear charge distribution. The charge is distributed along length. Here length is circumference. Okay, so now we will discuss about surface charge distribution. You can say surface charge distribution, second one. Here the charge is distributed uniformly on the surface. On the surface of the body. Consider one metal sphere right? The charge is distributed. So remember, this is not a ring, this is sphere. Ring is 2-dimensional surface, sphere is 3-dimensional surface. Okay, so on the metal sphere, the charge is distributed like this on the surface. Okay, or also you can consider metal sheet. The charge is distributed on the surface uniformly. Okay, so similarly we can write, if total charge distributed is equal to Q, distributed on surface, and if surface area of body is equal to some A. It can be anything. For such sphere it is 4 pi r square if r is the radius of it, right? Depending on the shape of the body, A will change accordingly. Okay, then surface charge density, the term related to surface charge distribution, which is denoted with sigma, can be written as total charge by total area, or in general charge by area. Okay, that is sigma equal to Q by A or dQ by ds. Q by A or dQ by ds. Units for this is you can guess, it is coulomb per meter square. Charge by area. Okay, if you consider one small segment out of this surface, sigma will be same. If you consider another small segment, sigma will be same. If you consider another small segment, sigma will be same. That means that the surface charge density remains constant. Okay, so in every unit area of the surface, dq charge will be there. dq charge will be there. That means sigma will remain constant. Surface charge density. Okay, so this is about surface charge distribution. Now we will see the third type, volume charge distribution. Volume charge distribution. We will see charge is distributed uniformly over the volume of body. Here I am taking non-conducting sphere. Non-conducting sphere means just like a plastic ball. The charge is distributed throughout its volume. Uniformly distributed. Okay, so uniformly volume charge distribution, where the charge is distributed uniformly over the volume of the body. Okay, so I am considering a non-conducting sphere, just like a plastic ball, and the charge, if you charge it, and the charging is distributed over the volume of the body uniformly, right? If the total charge distributed is equal to Q, and volume of the body can say total volume of the body is V, total volume of the body is V, then we write volume charge density as rho, the total charge by total volume, and we have rho as Q by V or dQ by dV. With units coulomb per meter cube. See, they are very similar to each other. That is why I am just trying to edit everything. Okay, so volume charge distribution is a uniform charge distribution over a volume of the body, just like here. And if Q is the total charge distributed, and if V is the volume of this body, then Q by V will be volume charge density, it is rho, with units coulomb per meter cube. If we consider a unit volume of the body, the charge will be same. In every dV volume out of this V volume, the charge present will be dQ. In every dV volume, the charge present is dQ, uniformly distributed. That is the reason we say rho is constant throughout this body. Everywhere rho is same. Okay, so these are the types of charge distributions. See, you can also see here dQ equal to rho dV. In the previous case, dQ equal to sigma ds. In the first case, dQ equal to lambda dl. Right? So in some problems we also make use of those equations. Remember first what is rho, what is sigma, what is lambda. Lambda is linear charge density, charge by length. Sigma is surface charge density, charge by area, and rho is volume charge density, charge by volume. Okay, remember these three things, and units automatically you can write. Right? So now we will try to convert the integral form of Gauss law into differential form by making use of the knowledge that we have got till now. Okay? Differential form of Gauss law. What is this? Differential form of Gauss law. So for that, first let me write integral form of Gauss law, which was already discussed in the previous video lecture. If you have not watched it, you can watch it. I will provide the video link of that video in the description column of this video. Integral form of Gauss law is what? Pi total, the total electric flux passing over the closed surface is equal to 1 by epsilon naught times the charge enclosed by that closed surface. So basically this is Gauss law in integral form because it has the integration in the equation. This is integral form of Gauss law. Now let us use Gauss divergence theorem to convert this integral into differential form. So remember, Gauss law is a relation between electric flux and the charge enclosed by the surface. The electric flux passing through the closed surface and the charge enclosed by that closed surface. It's a relation between flux and charge. Okay? So from Gauss divergence theorem, we know that integral E dot ds is equal to volume integral del dot E dv. It is basically a theorem which talks about the relation between surface integral and volume integral. Okay, so left hand side we can write in this way, and this right hand side I can say that if Q is the total charge enclosed by the closed surface, then I can write this as Q as triple integral rho dv. See, in the previous thing where we have discussed volume charge distribution, I have written that rho equal to Q by V or dq by dv. Q is what? Rho into V. Or you can say dq is rho dv. Q is what? Integral dq. What is that? Integral rho dv, because it is a volume. Okay, so using this I have written this. Right? Now let me give, this is equation 1, this is 2, this is 3. Substituting equation 2 and 3 in equation 1. Equation 2 and 3 in equation 1. So what do we get? Substituting equation 2 and 3 in equation 1, we get del dot E dV equal to 1 by epsilon naught triple integral rho dV, volume integral. Right? If you compare both sides, we have triple integral over volume. I can write this as del dot E is equal to rho by epsilon naught. This one is equal to this by epsilon naught, which is differential form of Gauss law, because del is a differential operator, which is equal to I dou by dou x plus j dou by dou y plus k dou by dou z. Okay, so this is equation 1 is integral form of Gauss law, whereas this one is differential form of Gauss law. If you give this equation number 4, equation 4 is differential form of Gauss law, and equation number 1 is integral form of Gauss law. We have converted integral to differential form by using this Gauss divergence theorem and volume charge distribution concept. This is the reason I have explained the types of charge distributions first, then I came back to the differential form of Gauss law. Okay, so now we will do some simple numerical problems based on this Gauss law and that is calculation of electric flux passing through closed surfaces or passing through any surface. Okay. Problem 1. Okay, find electric flux passing through the surface given below. This is the problem. Let me divide them into different numbers. The problem is like this. First surface is charge is here, Q charge is here, and the second surface, let me say is plus q, and the second one is semisphere, charge is here, and the third one is the plus q charge is here. So plus q. This is also plus q. The problem is what is the electric flux passing through the surfaces given below. Okay, if you consider the first one, it is a cylindrical surface but not complete cylinder. How do you make this complete? If I can draw this as, then it will become closed. This is a closed surface. But if this is not there, it is an open surface. The charge is here. Right? So now, if I use Gauss law, what is Gauss law? The flux is equal to charge enclosed by the closed surface by epsilon naught. What is the charge enclosed by this? Q. It was Q here. Only half surface is having plus Q. But I made it complete. Then pi total is Q by epsilon naught, and flux pi through semi-cylinder is equal to Q by 2 epsilon naught, half of it. So, see, it was the given problem. Q is here, and I made it closed surface by drawing this imaginary surface so that it is closed cylinder. And according to Gauss law, we can apply Gauss law only to the closed surfaces. So that is the reason I made this as closed surface. And from Gauss law, what is this? Pi total is equal to Q by epsilon naught. But pi through semi-cylinder should be Q by 2 epsilon naught, half of it. Similarly here, this one. What is pi? I have to make this as closed surface. To apply Gauss law, you need a closed surface. Okay, so I made this closed. So pi total is equal to Q by epsilon naught according to Gauss law. Okay, and pi through semi-sphere is equal to Q by 2 epsilon naught, half of it. Okay, and what about here? Pi total is equal to Q by epsilon naught, the charge enclosed by the closed surface, if each side is given A and Q is at the center. Pi total is this, and pi through each face will be Q by 6 epsilon naught because it has 6 faces. Phi through each phase is Q by 6 epsilon naught. In general, we write pi through each phase as Q by n epsilon naught, or you can say pi total by n, where n is number of phases. N is number of phases. So this is general formula, most important for entrance examination. Here you have 6 phases for the cube. So Q by 6 epsilon naught, or in general pi total by n. Pi total is Q by epsilon naught, by n is 6. N is equal to 6 for this case. So remember the most important point, if you want to make use of Gauss law to find out electric flux, you need to have a closed surface. If the problem is given like this without this closed one, the hemisphere or semisphere is not a closed surface. The charge is here, for example. The charge is here. The charge is outside. Okay, so to make this closed surface, I have drawn one imaginary line so that we have made it as a sphere and applied Gauss law so that the charge enclosed by this sphere is Q, by epsilon naught is phi total. This phi total is flux passing through the sphere. If I want flux passing through semisphere, which is given problem, it will be Q by 2 epsilon naught, half of it. The same is the case here. The charge is on the surface of this semi-cylinder, and I made this cylinder as a closed surface by drawing an imaginary line like this. See, it was given just L by 2 length. If length of the cylinder is L by 2, the length is L by 2 is given. Now I made this as L. Closed cylinder with charge Q, the flux passing through that cylinder is Q by epsilon naught. If I want flux passing through semi-cylinder, which is a given problem, should be equal to Q by 2 epsilon naught. So this is how you have to apply Gauss law for finding electric flux. See, electric flux can be calculated using the mathematical equation like integral E dot ds. But this is the simplest way. You don't need any calculation or any mathematics to find out electric flux passing through closed surfaces. If you can find how much is the charge enclosed by that surface, then that by epsilon naught will give you the flux passing through that closed surface. That is what Gauss law is. Okay, so hope you have understood. If you have any doubts regarding this lecture, you can put your doubts under the comment section. Thank you very much.